Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of SCA 101. I've had a few times trying to make this video, so let's hope that this is the right shot. This one is going to be talking about specifically households. I just got done with a hour-long conversation with my particular household on a Facebook Live. Um, and it kind of prompted me to make this video. I've tried making it a couple times before when I was really invested in trying to make a lot of videos. I tried tackling this a few times. I didn't really have any success with it. Um, the main thing is with households, there's going to be pros and cons, and trying to display those pros and cons without bashing it for its cons or flat out just trying to praise it for its pros while trying to give a nuanced approach. It's kind of tricky with households because there's not a whole lot of structure when it comes to households within the SCA. So I could make very big, general, broad remarks and still be completely wrong about certain households. So it's very hard to speak on households definitively without being completely wrong in one way, shape, or form. So to start out this video, I'm just gonna right out the gate say that if this doesn't apply to you, that's fine. It doesn't always apply to everything. So with that out of the way, um, households are one of the smallest entities that you can get in the SCA. They are not actually recognized as bodies within the SCA, such as kingdoms and then baronies, and then smaller ones from there, like cantons and shires and things to that effect. Um, Households don't really have that type of. There's no real paperwork for it. There's no real litigation. You can make a household right now as long as you have a SCA membership, I believe. You can start a household. The strength of that household is directly applied to or directly connected to how much you commit, how much you work, how much you serve, how many people you have, how much they could contribute, um, all of that. So, but the end of the day is households within the SCA are not really technically recognized for the most part. So there's a lot of freedom when it comes to that, which is one of the things that allows households to do so much in any direction that they want. Um, you can have households for fighting. You can have households for performance arts. You can have households for ANS. Anything that you can think of that would specialize, you can have a household based on that. There's also plenty of other households that are groups of friends that have, were good friends in the mundane world that came to the SCA and want to keep that friendship close and alive. So they will create a household based on that. Very often, households will be families as well. My father actually started the household that I am now leading. Not necessarily to say that I am now the chieftain because of that, but because of the work I put in and what the household meant to me and the amount I contributed to it led to where I am now in this position. But with that being said, nothing's stopping you from going and making a household today. Make a fighting household, or just make a household with you and two of your buddies. One of the great things about households are the open-endedness of them and the fact that there are no real rules, they aren't really recognized, so there's a lot of creative freedom when it comes to making a household. There are what's known as badges, I believe is what the actual term is, that you can get passed and you can get authorized in a similar way to your heraldic device, which is the device that basically signals on a banner or a flag that this is you and your people and your clan or yours. It is yours. Your design is yours. Dare freaking dare. Um, so the thing about the household is you can get a badge that is passed that's going to have to meet heraldic uh, rules, which is basically to say that in history you can prove that they would have done an art style similar to this, and that it meets X, Y, and Z in terms of what kind of logistical things they need to make it historical and acceptable. Because a lot of times, if someone has something that is similar or the same, you need to change an aspect of it to make it original and your own. But that being said, you don't need to pass that to make your household a household. As a matter of fact, the household that I am with, House Beowulf, we don't have any of that pass. We have an emblem. We have a favor which shows our household device on it, but that device is unrecognized by the SCA, and that's fine. Nobody cares because it's not a necessary part. Um, so cutting into the cons of it, and this is where it always kind of seems to go south with my videos. One of the issues with households is that for a lot of people, especially people who play at a baronial or a kingdom level, households can feel very much closed off. You put up walls, you say, this is our place, don't come in, we don't come out. It can be very much, you get caught up in your box and you don't leave your box for your event. And that is incredibly detrimental. I've tried to stress in all my other videos that the absolute best thing you can go is go out. The absolute best thing you can do is go out and meet new people and see all of the many things that this world has to offer. And if you stay in your little box, in your household, you're not going to get that. You're going to get, even if it is a diverse household, you're going to get shades of it. But until you break out of your comfort zone, until you start helping people that you don't know, until you start talking to people that you don't know, until you start going out and seeing the new faces and giving to the community at large, your gameplay is going to be limited. So that is something that when you either join a house or found a house, you need to have that in the back of your mind at all times. Is this contributing in a larger scale to the society? Or is this hindering me and creating a box and kind of keeping me away from new events, new experiences, new people, new things? So that's kind of the big thing to recognize with households, is that when they are done properly, they can create an avenue and create a more diverse game to play. But when they're not done properly, they can kind of limit their players, and they can kind of cut off them from the rest of the society. And if we all played in our own little boxes, then this world's not going to be that big. Because it's a small society when you think of, greater picture. It's across the entire country, but it's so big because we are all inclusive, because we are all here to have a good time. And that's what makes it, that's what gives it life and makes it healthy. So when you make a household, you have to understand that this needs to add to that. This needs to make the game bigger, and it needs to provide a home for people from which to go out on and explore from there. And if your household's not providing that to its members, that's when it's become detrimental. So with the house, there's a double-edged sword, so to speak, and that's why it's important to speak of the duality of it. Sometimes you do need to go and play at a baronial level and include the entire barony as a whole. And there are other times where certain people are going to be able to contribute better if they are in a household that's dedicated to service, that's pushing them to go out and serve and do more and, shake the babies and kiss the hands, so to speak. It's important to find the game that complements what you need out of this world. And that is one of the things that households can be a great tool for that. In all honesty, I've played in a household my entire SCA life, which isn't to say I haven't camped with other households or camped with the barony, but at the end of the day, I find myself coming back to the household gameplay that I am comfortable with, because that is something that allows my gameplay to benefit from. That's something that allows me to feel comfortable with, and it gives me a sense of freedom that allows me to play at a better scale, I feel. And I try to give that scale back to every single one of my members and allow them to experience the SCA in a greater scope because of what I can provide to them. And if you are going to be going and creating your own household, for one, I'm probably going to have some more videos on it because I have a lot to say on the creation of households, and the running of them and making sure that they run smoothly and dealing with issues. Because I've done it for a while and I watched my father do it for a decade before that. So it's important to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what the ultimate goal is. When you go into it, you don't need to know what the ultimate goal is. You just need to know the direction you're heading. A lot of times in the SCA, you're going to have huge delusions of grandeur that just go wild and get out of hand. But it's important to ground those delusions in something solid. And with a household, that oftentimes is what happens. You and 4 of your friends go, we're going to do this hospitality thing. And before the fighting, we're going to make breakfast burritos. And once again, this is all experience in the pre-coronavirus world. So hopefully these principles will return once again. And if not, view them from a newer lens. But the idea is that your household gives back in some way, shape, or form, right? So you figure out the way that you and your 4 buddies can give back to that. That was a bit of a weird tangent because I had written this script before the shit hit the fan in this world. My apologies. I try to be pretty professional. I don't try to swear too often, but after this year, I feel at least one S-bomb is appropriate. If you're of delicate sensibilities and I have offended thee, I do apologize. Just bringing this video for you kids, I would say. The point is, with households, cutting back to it, we're here to give back. We're here to make every single member's gameplay experience bigger because of that. And if the household you're with isn't making your experience bigger, if it's kneecapping you, if it's putting you in this box that you're not able to experience the full scale of the SCA, I think you might be in the wrong household. I think that might not be a household that complements your style of playing. And it's ultimately most important to find the barony, the kingdom, the household. If it's just you and your tent in overflow, find the style of gameplay that suits what you want out of the SCA. I cannot stress that enough. That is ultimately what it boils down to. Households are a great tool to help find out what style of gameplay and what aspects you want to start highlighting in your game. And if it's not doing that, you need to walk away. And more often than not, if you communicate that, there's a lot of understanding when it comes to that. I try to be as understanding anytime any of my members come to me to start an open dialogue and to hear them and to really communicate what people's needs are. Don't get offended if someone doesn't fit in your household or if someone doesn't want to be a part of your household. Not everybody's the same fit. We all wear different size shoes. Every household is going to be a different fit for a different person. So when going into households, that is the main thing, is recognizing the ones that are benefiting you and the ones that are making your gameplay better, and understanding and stepping back from the ones that don't. And having communication as best as you can through all of those steps, and doing your absolute best to try to find the game that works for you. So this is going to be the Household 101 class on... This has been the Household 101 class. Tune in, hopefully, next week, whenever I get another wild hair up my... to do the SCA 101... 102 on households, where I go a little more in-depth into what it actually goes into making a household, founding a household, and the legwork of keeping a household going. But this is Woolric signing off, saying, I hope you learned a little bit of something, and I hope you have a great one.